Hello everyone, it's Kristen, and today we are going to go over how to edit skin. So we're going to go ahead and come over here to the background layer. We're going to right click and hit duplicate layer. That way anything that we do we can click off and we're not ruining the actual image. We can go back really easily. So we're going to zoom in. You see we have lots of little imperfections. I swear I will never get that word correctly on stream, but we will live with it. Imperfect world. So what I just did is I went up to the healing brush tool. If you left click and hold, you have lots of options. I used the healing brush tool. I came up here to change the size. I'm not going to make it too big just yet because you don't want to get any artifacts. So I'm going to come over to her skin where it's kind of clear, and I'm going to hit Alt and I'm going to left click, and I basically just took a sample of space, and I'm just going to keep doing that and covering up her little imperfections. So you sample the space, then you left click, and it basically just stamps it there. And you're just going to move and do that across her face. And you want to try to get a sample that's close to where you are painting. Otherwise, it's going to take a texture and take it to a different part of the face. And your face has a lot of different textures because of the way the light hits it. So it's going to look really funny. And earlier I talked about artifacts if you get a brush too big. So I'm going to show you real quick what that is. Because I'm sure you were thinking, oh, a bigger brush, you can do it faster. Sure, maybe. So here we go. Big brush, Alt click. See, it took the skin tone here and put it into her hair. That's, I mean, it's still... That's a really dramatic example, but I'm sure there will be another example that'll happen along the way that I can help with. But anyway, back to my frazzledness. Let's continue. I'm going to cover up some of this hair. She had a lot of wispies. It was pretty windy that day. We were out in the mountains. Colorado, beautiful place. So I'm going to keep doing this until I cover most imperfections. You can leave a little bit of texture because we're going to come back through and smooth it out. But I like to try to get a lot of it with the brush tool. And I'm sorry if you're hearing the rain right now. It's very possible. I have a very powerful microphone I'm using, and it likes to let you hear, you know, what the person 18 blocks down the road is doing. So once again, we're down here. We are still just using Alt and left clicking the mouse, or if you're using a tablet, it's a little different. We're going to get rid of these fine lines. And this is a fashion edit, so of course we're making her look a bit younger than, you know, she probably is. And her makeup artist did a fantastic job. It's just, you know, sometimes people have funky skin textures, and it's just how life is. I also like to get around the eyes. She started hair and makeup at 2 a.m. because this was a sunrise shoot. So she is quite tired. Okay, zoom back in. Oh my gosh. We'll see if I can zoom. We're gonna make this a little smaller so we can get up around her lip, around her nose where those pores are. And I'm just gonna do this real quick. We're gonna do her lip too, where her lipstick kind of chunked together. Chapped lips. It's very dry out there. It's dry in the mountains. Alright, I'm just going to finish her skin real quick and then we'll move on. Okay, so we're going back around our eyes, and we need to be careful around the eyes. You don't want to completely get rid of the under eye socket, because then her eye will just look like it's kind of painted on her face. But if you make a real small brush, you can kind of go through and get rid of those little fine lines under her eyelashes. And before I talked about artifacts, this is another good one to show. If you get too close to something and you have a bigger brush, even if you sample out here, it's going to smear dark. It's just going to blend the skin tone in with this, and that's not what we want. So we're going to shrink this back down. Alright. So she still has some eye depth, that we're not trying to get rid of that. We're just trying to get rid of that dark circle situation we have going on because this poor woman had to get up at 2 a.m. for hair and makeup. Do the same over here. Yeah, do it a little slower there. Okay. So now that we've done that, I'm gonna zoom out, not that far. Oh goodness. Okay. So now that we've done that, let's see what we've done. You can click this little eyeball, hide the layer so you can see. Let's fix her hand real quick too. That's going to bother me. She has some scrape on her hand. Once again, holding Alt, left clicking, and it goes away. Okay, so next we're going to go up to this eyedropper tool, and you're going to find a medium skin tone. So not the brightest, not the darkest, and you don't want the blush area. So we're just gonna, we'll pick right there. We just left clicked, and if you look over here, it put it in our little swatch. So then when we hit our paintbrush, that's the color it's going to paint. We want to move this down to about somewhere between like 11 and 15. Let's do 13. And we can make the brush a little bigger because we're going to be covering lots of space. We're just going to paint onto her face. And all this is doing is smoothing out what we just did. And you're going to paint the same color all over. There are situations where you're going to need to not paint the exact same color. If half her face was in shadow and it wasn't so evenly lit, then obviously you'd want to resample closer to those areas and then smooth them out that way. We are going to get under her eye. We're going to pay a little bit more attention to that. Give her a little more brightness around the eyes. Okay. So you can see she still has skin texture under here, but we don't have this. It's smoothed that out. So now at this point, my personal style, I like to add some contouring. Even if they had contour makeup, that makes a lot of help, but it doesn't always come through on camera. So we're going to come over here to the dodge tool, and once again, if you hold this with the left click, you can choose between dodge and burn. We're going to start with dodge. We're going to come up a little bit. I'm trying to find we want to do just a little bit above the cheek. So we don't want it too small because we don't want it to look like a line, but at the same time, you know, we don't want it so big that her entire face just turns white. We're just going to do paint on a little bit there, do a little splotch there, on the nose, tip of the chin. Then we're going to shrink this down and we're going to do this little lip area here. Basically anywhere that you were seeing highlights on her face, or should be seeing highlights on her face. If you're contouring your makeup, where you would put highlighter is where you're going to lighten it. And so we're even going to come up here under her brow. If you watched the eye tutorial, you saw I did that. Do a little underneath too. And her eyelashes are so big that you can't really tell that there's a light there, catch there. But you can do a little bit here on the inside so to make her eyes look brighter, like whiter. And we'll even do a little bit on her teeth just to help make them look a little more white, since this is kind of a beauty edit. This is super random, but this speck over here really bothers me, so I'm going to get rid of it real quick with the healing tool. Ta-da! Okay, so we did the highlights. Now it's time to do the shadows. We come back over here, we hold with the left click button and hit the burn tool. Once again, we don't want it so small that it's just going to make a little line. So we'll do like a medium. And the exposure, I always want to keep this really low because it can get crazy really fast. We'll hit it up to 55 just to show you. Look, I mean, we're basically just like painting her. So we're gonna very low opacity. We're gonna go right here where her cheek line, her cheekbone is, that cheek line right there. We're gonna do the same here. She did have a contour makeup, so that helps. I'm gonna come down here to her neck. So the separation between her hair, face, and neck. And then this little divot here so we can see the collarbone. And then we might as well give her a little bit with our eyelashes too. So we'll shrink this down, and just like we're putting on eyeliner. And I haven't done her eye edit yet. You know what? I might do that. That way we can recap. Okay, but we're still working on the skin right now. So after you've done those things, you're gonna see, if you're a perfectionist like me, you're gonna see that there are some little areas that still need smoothed out. I'm just gonna take the healing brush tool again and do that. I know there are some photographers that literally have a mask and they just soften the entire skin line and do it that way, and it seems a lot quicker. I'm just very perfectionist, and this is the way I do this. Obviously, it might not be, you know, the perfect way or the way that everyone does it, but it's what works for me, and this is how I do my style, and that's what I promised I'd show you. So that's what we're doing today. But basically, I would say her skin edit would be done. At this point, I would go back and fix up her lipstick a little bit. I'd hit filter and go to liquify. Zoom into her lips. We're going to hit this forward warp tool and shrink it down a little bit. And we're just going to kind of redefine her lip shape a little bit because it looks like her makeup's smeared. So her lip shape's just kind of muddled. So we're just going to push down the skin around the lip to make the line a little bit sharper. And make this Cupid's bow a little bit more prominent. So we're not necessarily making her lips bigger, though we could very easily at this point make her lips bigger. We are just trying to redefine her actual lip shape. So there we go. All right, and click OK. So you see now what was kind of muddled. You see she had a Cupid's bow, but it looks like it's smeared a bit off. And there we go. And it looks like we have a little bit of makeup smear up here. So we're going to fix that real quick. Okay. So that's the skin editing portion of this. We're going to go ahead and click it off so you can kind of see this is what we started with. This is what we ended with. And now we're going to duplicate layer, and just for the sake of recapping, we're going to do her eyes real quick. So usually I use an action for this because it makes it easier. Actions make life easier. It's a fact of life. But we're learning the old school way because that's important. So we're going to, once again, adjustment layer. We're going to make a new adjustment layer here. So we duplicated what we had just done, the background layer. Then we're going to hit adjustment and hit the curves tool, which is the grid with the squiggles. And we're going to take the middle point here, go way up, make her nice and bright, and click this. Control I. So basically we just took it off, so we're going to be painting on what we're doing. Remember, we're going to do a very, very small, very small brush. And zoom in, not zoom out. Goodness, I need to get on it. So it's looking here, if you're looking at the way the light is hitting her. I love this because you can see the sunrise in her eyes right now. Geeking out a smidge. But up down here is where that light's going to catch. The light is coming in like this. It's going to be reflecting out like this. So we're going to take the paintbrush. Make sure the opacity is at 100. The flow is at 20. We're just going to do these nice little spindles. Once again, think of a bike wheel. I'm gonna shrink this down just a little bit. Think bike wheel. It's important we're not going like this. We're not going like this. We are going from the pupil. Like a spindle, like a wheel. Okay. I'm going to come over here and do the exact same thing. And take your time with it. I'm going to move this back up a little bit because we did over there. Really make those textured lines. I feel like Bob Ross right now. Pretty little line textures. There's a chance you just heard my newborn. His name's Dexter. He's being cute. He's watching mommy. He's gonna be a photographer one day. Okay, so now that we've done that, we're going to switch our brush, make it a little bit bigger. Not that big though. We're going to flip this to black and lightly paint off where the light is not reflecting out. So around the top and around the edges there. Have the opacity at 100. We're gonna shrink it back down as we get a little closer in. There we go. Okay, we're going to do the same over here. I'm going to switch this back up to almost 100 for the top. Okay, now we're going to hit shift and click this layer, and then you're going to right click, hit merge layers, duplicate this layer. When in doubt, make an extra layer. That way if you mess up, you can always go back. Once you've done that, you're going to come up to filter and camera raw filter. We're going to zoom in so we can see your eyes. We're going to brighten them and really knock up that contrast. Hit that clarity. We're going to knock up those highlights a little bit. Not a little vibrant since she has nice bluish greeny eyes. We're going to hit up some sharpening. And then we're going to hit the little curves box as well. And we're going to drag this down to add some darkness. But we're also going to pump this back up. So you're going to bring back those brights a little bit more as well. And you're going to hit OK. Now, if you zoom out, you see the image itself is way too bright now. Everything's washed out. It's not going to work. So we're going to come up to layer and layer mask and hide all. So now we're back where we were. Click the paintbrush. We'll do 100%. And we're going to paint onto the eye. So since everything's hidden, this is black, so this needs to be white over here. I believe you can toggle that with X. I'm not big into keyboard shortcuts for tutorials, so. Okay, then you're gonna paint. There we go. Alright, and then I'm going to keep it at 100 for her eyelashes. This little divot right here. Okay, and then under eye. We're basically doing her makeup right now. We're just amping it up. Okay, we're going to take this down to about 50 for the whites of her eyes, because we don't want the whites of her eyes to be so bright that they're terrifying. It's very easy to overdo that. Okay, so let's we're going to click this, shift click this, and merge those layers and see what we've done to her eyes. Lots more texture. I think I am going to go through and get rid of a little bit of the bloodshotness in her eyes, though. Once again, this poor woman had to wake up at 2 a.m. so. And just a reminder, you click Alt and you right click, or sorry, left click. Oh man. And then you can smooth out those areas. I feel like we're pretty much done. But what we're going to do real quick is we're going to go back into the burn tool. And I want to burn the top part of her eye a little bit more. I'm at 14%. And then I'm going to use the dodge tool. Actually, hold on. Go back to burn tool for a second and darken the bottom of this a little. We're going to darken around the inside of the iris a little bit too. create a little bit more depth. Okay, so once again, we're going to left click, hold, come over to dodge. And I just want to do a sweep across here where the sunrise is because it's so beautiful. Okay. And now her face edit is done. So we will quickly merge these layers so we can do a before and after. And there you go. Ta-da!